Hi everyone, it's Mick Levinskas here with she'sbuildingarobot.com, and I am very, very, very excited to be talking to Charlotte Yarkoni. Hi Charlotte, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Mick?
I'm great. Where in the world are you at the moment? Because I know you travel like crazy.
I do travel like crazy, but at the moment, I'm in my office on the Microsoft campus in Redmond, Washington.
In, in sunny Seattle.
In sunny Seattle. Absolutely. That's a very good description for this time of year, early January, for sure.
It's raining here in San Francisco, but that's just the way it goes in January too. So, thank you so much for joining and the support of She's Building a Robot. And I just wanted to start. What can you tell us a little bit about your current role?
Sure. So I am currently responsible for commerce and ecosystems on behalf of Microsoft. I work for Scott Guthrie, who runs our cloud and AI business. But in essence, my charter is kind of around addressing three areas across our lines of businesses and products throughout the company. And the first is, how do people discover Microsoft? Whether you're a student developer or a startup or an enterprise developer or partner, how do you actually discover what Microsoft has to offer?
Mm-hmm.
Second thing is, once you discover us, how can we better engage with you? And that means not just community type efforts where we're actually physically in your neighborhood and in your technical community, but also online, and what kind of access and localization can we provide to give you better resources to learn either about your industry or your technical community or the products we offer to serve. And then once you've discovered us and have started engaging with us, how do we actually become easier to do business with? And that's quite a broad category, but it's everything from spending lots of time on new ways that people like to buy and consume IT resources and Microsoft products and services, to how do we actually create efficiencies with what we're already doing today and the types of business models that we support today, so that we make it easier to do business and keep growing with us.
Wow, that's a huge role, and no wonder you're so busy. I appreciate your time sharing with us today. I want to take that breath and cast you right back. Do you remember your first ever computer experience? And I'd love to know what initiated that. Was that a friend, a family member? Did you go out on your own? Like, how did you get your first ever introduction to computers? What was the catalyst?
Well, it kind of depends on what you define as a computer. So I'm going to date myself here, but I remember when video games were first introduced and you had Atari, and I had a brother that was very close in age to me. And so he got an Atari, and that was probably the first time I used a computer with any type of interest and engagement. I think moving on from that, when I went to university, I actually joined a program in a university that was offering a joint degree in electrical engineering and computer science. And to be quite transparent about it, the reason why I went into that field is I had received a scholarship to help pay for my tuition if I went into that field. And so where I actually got properly introduced to computer science was through that curriculum. And I remember too many times trying to sit in the fourth subfloor basement of that university's computer science lab, writing a program in Lisp, thinking how much I really despised computers. And actually chose to change my major and graduate in a different program in a different university as a result of that. And so it was only when I got out of school and actually started working. And my background and interest at the time was around industrial engineering. And one of my first projects was how to automate a solution where you actually could load finished lawnmowers onto a truck for distribution to different retailers around the US, where you actually didn't have to take the load fully on and off every time, that you actually loaded the parts in the way that they would be delivered so that you could be most efficient in your logistics. So it was a queuing theory problem that actually could only be solved with a computer program, at least efficiently solved. And the way that the lawnmower manufacturer had been doing it to date was manually with spreadsheets and had lots of errors and cost themselves lots of dollars by continuing having to reload trucks while out on the road because they weren't loaded correctly the first time, etc. And that's actually the first time I got an appreciation for computers beyond the entertainment value of video games that I had early on. But actually understanding computers were extremely powerful in their ability to solve problems. And I think I missed that in college because most of the work there was academic.
Okay.
And you spent a lot of time working on computers in the form of a homework assignment that wasn't really practical in terms of the application. So I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't appreciate it. And it was only when I actually went to work and started using computers again that I actually really got excited and passionate about computers.
Wow, that's it's interesting background. Yeah, I think if you're in a basement learning this, then that might not be the most fun way to first engage, especially if you've been from computer games. So you must have a really strong sense of how all that world has changed in the 12 years since you've been at college.
Yes, 12 years.
Yeah, got that one right. So can you talk in terms of your position, how the world has changed in terms of engaging with technology, especially from a young women and diversity perspective?
I think, first off, the one universal truth continues to be that computers and technology becomes more and more of an enabler for how to solve bigger and bigger problems as it evolves. And I think that's fantastic. In fact, I really get amazed and astounded by the progress that we as a society can make and how much technology has contributed to that. And every year I say, wow, this is so amazing. It's like the best year ever for tech. And it remains to be true because we keep finding more and more resourcing and horsepower to apply to larger and larger problems, particularly as our visibility and our awareness has moved from a local neighborhood to more of a regional mode to now a global mode in terms of really everything we think and buy and consume and sell, etc. And so that's one of the universal truths that I would say, even in university, the power of technology to solve problems continues to be just one of the things that gets me excited and gets me out of bed every day, that I can be part of that. I think the types of problems and the types of resources we have has exponentially exploded in my tenure and career throughout technology, such that we can have a lot bigger impact, but the problems we face are also much more significant in scale. The things that have changed along the way around that universal truth is obviously the adoption of technology, the interest in technology. You know, one of the things I love is when I was in college, I was very much a minority in terms of being a diversity student, if you will, and learning a very technical field. It just wasn't mainstream at the time.
Do you remember roughly what the ratio was?
I really don't. I can tell you that I remember when I was a freshman in the entry program I had, there were about 200 students that were in this new type of program. Mm-hmm. I was the only white female in the program.
Right, wow.
I think out of that 200, 190 were male, and most were Asian at the time. But I remember I was the only white female in the group. And so that was a very lonely feeling for sure. When you just walk into a room and people don't look and talk and have the same even aspects as you do in terms of their background and experience coming to the table. Mm-hmm. But I learned to really enjoy that over time in terms of being able to be exposed and being, take it not for being so lonely, but take the opportunity to relish in the fact that you were different than the rest of the crowd and you could come with a different perspective. And I've also been extremely impressed as I've continued in my career, and I now get the luxury of being able to go out and spend time at different universities with different student populations. I remember last year I had the opportunity to go to a celebration at the University of Washington Engineering School, which represented both undergraduate and graduate, but there were hundreds of women across all different engineering disciplines.
Wow, that's great.
Receiving awards in their fields. And it was amazing to me to see that type of progress. And so I do think there is more diversity, definitely by far, than when I started out. I feel like there is a lot more to go for it to really be the type of heterogeneous, enriched, diverse skill set that we could have within the industry.
Sure.
So that there's always more work to be done there.
Yeah. Are you seeing a lot more role models and mentoring? Because obviously there's also generational lapse with this, where because people like yourself went through the hard yards as a minority, but now you get to support another generation, and then they get to support another generation. So there should hopefully be a compound interest factor here. Is that getting better and better?
I feel like it is. I always feel like there's more to be done, though, to be honest about it. The thing that I get excited about today is I think access to technology is so ubiquitous. And the next thing that's happening is drawing the lines between traditional STEM careers and skills. I mean, things like AI and data science make it so prevalent in every industry. It's not like if you're a data science, you're going to go sit in a dedicated team in an IT or tech group somewhere now, and that's the only job available to you. You find data scientists in HR functions. You find data scientists in nonprofits. You find data science in sales organizations, in retail versus enterprise. It is a ubiquitous skill set that's really enabling everyone to be able to move their business forward, move their personal career forward, whatever the progress motion is. And so I feel like our pool of diversity gets broader as these types of skills get more ubiquitous and they get out of traditional types of degrees or roles. And that gives us an opportunity to have even more diversity and sponsorship coming back to the folks who actually want to adopt technology, and however they move forward, whether it is a traditional computer science or STEM motion or even a non-traditional one, but to have technology be a core competency of theirs and be able to find success and achievement in that. So that I feel like is a recent development that has only kind of come along in the last 5 to 10 years. The more technology has gotten accessible to everybody, the skill sets have kind of bled over beyond traditional skill sets, which has given just a bigger pool of support, both for growing it and for giving back for the next generation, if that makes sense.
I noticed in your blog post, you challenged everybody to really think differently coming into the next year. Is that change in the need for diversity and thinking different a response to the increasing speed of innovation? Is it you just need to be more diverse? You can't have a singular linear line thinking anymore? Does that all feed into it?
I think so. I mean, I think the important thing is to not actually to take the best learnings you have in terms of what problems have you solved in the past, how have you been able to overcome certain obstacles, but don't assume there's always one answer to any problem that sits out there. And it does all feed together, to your point. Again, our access to resources is growing, not shrinking. The types of challenges and opportunities we face, though, at the same time is growing and not shrinking. And so being able to think through those and do, what you feel is the best situation at the time, as opposed to thinking everything is curated and restricted based upon your knowledge set, I think is the really important piece of it all. And it is about, you know, the recent blog post I had was really more about making the complex simple. And part of the challenge we have in the professional community, particularly when you're a company with any maturity, is you may be really good at developing new products and you may be really good at growing your business. You're typically not very good at stopping doing things. And so that's one of the hardest things for companies to do as you grow up is understanding, you know, when and where do you actually stop doing something so that you can move that energy and investment and resourcing towards moving the business forward, as opposed to potentially preserving or just maintaining something that is in essence, you know, served its purpose and it's no longer really meaningful, but you're afraid to stop doing it because it's just the way things have always been done.
Yeah.
And because we aren't good at stopping things, we end up carrying a lot of baggage, I would call it, on our journeys, to the point where you get old enough and mature enough and you have a whole lot of baggage and your life is way more complicated than it really needs to be for the business that you're running today. Kind of the same is true on the personal side, right? If you don't learn to kind of take the learnings from all your personal experience, if every experience is a point of baggage that, you know, you have to kind of keep top of mind, your short-term memory would kind of fuse out pretty quickly, right?
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it, I think, is understanding how to evolve and make progress, take the best of all your history, but also learning how to keep things simple is a big part of the challenge and opportunity that we have today too on the business. I kind of went all over the world on that one, but hopefully.
No problems. Bring you back really closer to home and personal if you're okay. I know you have two daughters, similar but different to mine, but how do you feel about your daughters with technology? Is it like it's just a baseline? Do you want them to really get involved? How are they seeing you as a role model there? How is it as a parent thinking about teenage girls with technology?
Sure. And so I have a daughter in her early 20s now that graduated university and a daughter in middle school. Two very, very different people at their core, but they're a great example of what I mean by technology is just very ubiquitous. My oldest daughter is very gifted in language and literature. In fact, she majored in linguistics. If I were to accuse her of having any kind of computer science proficiency, she would be deeply wounded and offended. However, you know, for her to go write an R program to do statistical analysis on her linguistics theory and thesis that she was writing for college was a no-brainer for her. It was kind of second nature for her. And so technology is very embedded into what she does, even though it is not a technical career, if you will. Their technology is just very much an enabler. My younger daughter, by contrast, is very STEM focused, avid gamer, started writing her first games on Scratch, I think around age 7, writes better Python code than I could ever write today at the age of 12. Brilliant and really just naturally loves technology, whether it's a video game or writing a program or learning about a new technology that's an industry trend like quantum computers.
Did that happen naturally with her, or did you do anything to encourage it?
I feel like I certainly encouraged access to programs for her.
Yeah.
I think she naturally came wired that way.
Okay.
I would say I naturally exposed my older daughter as well, but her view on technology was never the passion of the technology. It was much more, oh, I could use this to go do X, which I am very passionate about. So,
Sure.
You know, they both translated it and digested the skills in their own way. But that's the beautiful part of it. I see both of them as technologists today. Yeah. I think they think their mom is cool because she works at Microsoft, which is kind of awesome.
Definitely awesome.
And they get good swag from that.
Yeah.
And Microsoft is cool apparently, so that's kind of nice.
Cool again. That's totally cool. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. But really, I've encouraged both of them to just think about what they want to, what are the types of problems they want to solve, as they grow up, and how do they want to spend their time, and how can technology help them do that? I think that's been a big part of what we've been trying to do here.
Someone sneaking in the room behind you. All good. Last question, really short tip. If there's a teenage girl out there who's thinking about technology, maybe she's curious, but maybe she thinks it's not going to be popular, or maybe it's not for girls. Do you have any advice for girls like that?
Oh, I don't ever worry about what's cool or what's popular. I think enjoy what you enjoy. And the wonderful thing is, it's really a good idea to learn about technology because it'll help you. Whether or not you spend all your time on the tech or using the tech to help you do whatever it is you want to do, it really doesn't matter. But I encourage everybody to get excited about whatever their passion is in life, and consider technology part of your toolkit that you can bring to the table to really go accomplish your dreams and do what you want to do. That should be what people think about, not whether it's cool or not cool.
Fantastic. Charlotte, thank you so much for supporting She's Building a Robot. Wonderful for you sharing your story and some of your ideas. Good luck enjoying the sunshine there in Seattle, and we hope to talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Mick. I really appreciate it.